Hi everyone, this is Erin from Sandpaper Road, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how I made this Christmas card, and I'm using two stamp sets actually. Both are from Technique Junkies, and isn't this card just so nice? Look at the shimmer. I love it. And inside there's a nice sentiment. I love the Light of Faith sentiments. It's part of the new October release for Technique Junkies, and also this Christmas frame. So first I'm starting just with some Memento black ink, and I'm just going to ink up on some white cardstock, and I'm just going to do several actually of the frames, just turning it around and doing another one because if they come out great, then I'm going to have two to use. And if one doesn't come out so good, then I've got a spare. So that's usually what I do. Try to use as much of the stamping paper as possible. If you notice, in the opposite two corners, there's blank spaces, so you can use those corners for other stamps as well. So now here's my stamped image, and I'm actually just going to do some coloring with some inks. So, and I'm also going to use one of the Shimmering Bliss sprays and just some Nuvo water pens to color it in. So I have my stamping blocks, my acrylic stamping blocks, and I like to use those for little, I guess, ink palettes or whatever, because then I can move them. I don't have to clean up my mat. I don't have one of those glass mats, so this works just fine. And then they're easy to clean also. So I've got a lighter color green distress ink, and all of the names of the specific colors I will put in the description box below so that you can see if you're interested. And this is essentially just doing some, in reality I suppose it's just watercoloring, but I'm just going in however I want, whatever looks good. And you notice I went in with a microfiber cloth and just mopped up the little excess water because I didn't want to get these puddles. It starts to just make everything look kind of, I don't know, just kind of muddy, I guess. Now, in hindsight, I probably should not have used the Memento ink because that's probably where I'm getting this muddy from. I should have used an archival ink, but I thought I was going to go in with Copics, so that's why I didn't. Now I'm just putting a little bit of this Shimmering Bliss spray in a little, like a paint palette, and I'm going in with a little ornament there. The Shimmering Bliss has like a shimmer. I'm not sure that it's a mica or whatever, but it's like a shimmery spray. And then I'm also doing the little holly berries off to the side there. And that's nice because that'll add its own little shimmer. I did plan that once I got this done, I was going to spray the whole thing with like a shimmer spray, another Shimmering Bliss, like a clear spray, which I did anyway. But then I thought, well, at least this gives me like a choice. So if I change my mind and don't want to do that, at least that part of it, the red part, is shimmery. So as you can see, it really helps the look of the leaves. To go in with a little bit of a darker green just once the ink dried, just a bit. I mean, I could go in and heat set it, but I didn't want to get too crazy with the heat gun. So just trying to give a little realistic variety here with my inks. And I suppose you could use oxides or regular inks or whatever other dye-based inks you have on hand if you don't have distress ones. And then I'm also going in with this dark green. I think this is Mowed Lawn actually, and doing the pine branches there. I'm trying to gradually zoom in a little bit so you can see. Really, I'm not doing anything special. I'm just the water pen. It's just the water pen and ink and just going along the stamped lines. Sometimes I prefer this to using markers. I feel like the water and the ink is a little bit more forgiving, and I'm not that great actually at coloring with markers. But I do have this gold metallic colored pencil, and I thought that would be perfect for the top of the ornament. And as you can see, I did finish coloring in the rest of the Christmas frame I just cut some of that out so you didn't have to watch me color for 20 minutes. So now I am going to go back in with my stamping platform, and we're going to add the sentiment in the middle. I'm putting rolls of tape there so you don't get that glare from my light. I was trying to decide here about using, once I use the Joy to the World stamp, that means I have to make a horizontal card, pretty much. I mean, I suppose I don't have to, but if I'm going to use it with this frame, I'm going to have to. So, but I don't usually do that. So then, what did I get this great idea? Oh, I thought of embossing. That's what I have this little bit of embossing gold powder left from somewhere, and then I have a sparkly red embossing powder from somewhere, and my little powder embossing bag and my Versamark. So I knew I was going to emboss it, just didn't know whether I was going to do gold or red. Finally deciding on the gold, and we're going to go ahead and ink that up real nice. And shouldn't have any problems, right? We've done this a million times. It's just simple embossing. So those are the things I'm done with, and I'm just going to get that off to the side and do my little embossing powder. I think this powder might be from Stampin' Up. Now, I was so annoyed that for some reason the D did not stamp. Everything else stamped absolutely perfectly, beautifully. I loved it. And that D just did not want to come through, and I have the feeling that it was from my table. I feel like my table has a little bit of like a dip in the middle. So sometimes I turn the stamping platform. I tried foolishly to go back in and add powder to it again, stamp over top. It was just a bad idea. Look at it. Now, the non-card maker, or, you know, whoever is receiving this card, I'm sure would look at it and say, oh, it's fine, you can't even tell. But I don't know. That's part of why I do this stuff, is just to make it look a certain way for me. And just the joy of doing it and then looking back at what you did and be like, wow, that looks really good. It just gives me a lot of satisfaction. So I knew every time I looked at that, it was going to bother me. I tried to do double embossing. Like there you saw, it was just while the powder was so hot. I tried to go back in over top, but alas, it was a lost cause. I was so angry. So luckily for us, we're just working with paper. It's no big deal. So I thought, well, actually, the good thing about this Christmas frame, to be honest, is the fact that you can cut out the middle. And so I thought, I think I'm going to do this again. This was what I was thinking in the back of my mind, of re-stamping it. But I thought, well, let me try one more thing. So I went in with a little stylus, this tiny baby stylus that I have, and I was trying to dab Versamark ink. I've done it before this way, but I usually use the re-inker and like put like a baby drop. But no, it didn't work. It didn't work good enough for me. I thought, well, maybe if I heat it, then we'll take a look at it and see. It just didn't look good enough for me. It just didn't. And I think it was because the rest of the sentiment turned out so beautifully. Like, look at it. Oh, I was so angry. I can't even tell you. Now, I do leave this stuff in the video usually. If you watch any of my videos, there's at least one, what we would call a mistake in every single one. Here I go with my scissors, and I was like, wait a second. Why don't I just cut out the middle before I fussy cut the outside? And then I thought, then what I could do is re-stamp it and put the good, because I really like the way I colored the frame. The pine needles looked good. The pine cones, all that stuff looked fine. It was just the middle that got under my skin. So I thought, okay, we're going to do this. So I have this, it's like it's that Creative Memories mat that you can use your blade on. And I have a T-square, so I'm just going to cut right into the frame with my craft knife and get rid of that middle. In reality, when you look at this video and you see it's like 20 some minutes, the truth of the matter is that probably 1/3 of the video is me making a mistake and then trying to correct it. So the card itself does not take that long. Remember, it was just coloring with distress inks with a water pen and some shimmering Bliss if you wanted to shimmer, and then stamping and embossing the sentiment. But like I said, just trying to clean up for my mistake. I actually really like the way the end result looked. So I'm not sorry that I went to all this trouble. I'm just going to clean up this little area here and I don't want any white showing, since I know I'm probably going to use like a cream color inside. I have a paper collection set in mind that I think I'm going to use to stamp on instead, which I probably should have done anyway, but you know, this is a lot of work to go through and just do this if you don't have to. Now this part I do like, and I would have done this regardless of the stamping, whether it was good or bad. I'm going in with my craft knife and I'm cutting out the middle of these little pieces, and I'll show you up close in just a second here. Because then when I fussy cut around the outside, those little holes are already cut out. It's a lot easier to get a nice, like the little tiny holes cut out if you do it while there's more paper there. So yeah, that's going to look really good. And then I just go in with my little baby craft scissors. Now don't worry, I don't spend the rest of the video just cutting with my craft knife, but I did want to cut just a little bit and then let you see, so you could see, when you see the end result, you'll be like, oh yeah, that does make a really big difference. And it does take some time, but honestly, I just put like some nice music on. This part, to be honest, doesn't stress me out at all. I find this to be kind of relaxing. Same with fussy cutting in general. I find it to be quite relaxing. Something you can do when, you know, while TV's on or whatever. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, if you're interested in this stamp set, I do have a coupon code for you, and I'll put it right up here on the screen, and it's at techniquejunkies.com. You can save 10% on your whole order if you use the coupon code TJ10Aaron, and you just enter that at checkout, and that will be good for your order. If you've never ordered from Technique Junkies before, their new release, they put out new stamps on the 1st of every month, and those new release stamps are actually 15% off until the 8th. So definitely take advantage of that. And then you can always use my coupon code anytime to get 10% off the rest of your order. So that's a little bit of a handy trick to use there. So yeah, I'm just going through, and this is just any old craft knife, and you know, just getting out these little tiny holes. It does take a little bit of practice, but like I said, the end result is just, it really just makes a difference when you look at it and you're like, wow, somebody really made that. So that looks good to me. I guess I did leave all that little X-Acto knife cutting in there, and what I cut out was the part where I was cutting with scissors around the outside. Now I'm using the Brown Mood paper collection from Craft O'Clock, and they have a really nice, it's just all monochromatic colors, different color brown, different patterns. It's really nice, good for cards, mini albums, that kind of thing. So I thought I'd use this. It's like a cream color, and I did it off camera already to save time. I stamped and got a really good emboss with that same embossing powder, and I'm going to use that dark brown wood paper for my card panel. Before I do all of that, I'm going to use, this is that clear Shimmering Bliss spray, shimmer spray, and I'm just going to go hog wild on that frame now that I've colored it, I've cut it, and now it can just sit there and dry for a few seconds while I get the rest of the card ready. I didn't want to do it before because then I'd be trying to cut out soggy paper, and there's just that would just be bad. So I'm using an A2 size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But I'm going to do it horizontally. So I'm cutting the brown to be the card panel. I would just want a little bit of the white showing through. I mark my paper trimmer with those little notches. You see, I used like whiteout or something and just put marks on. Those are commonly used measurements for me, and then I don't have to look so carefully. So trying to look and see how I'm going to cut out this square of Joy to the World, because I want the frame to glue right to it. So I just, with a pencil, just make little dots as like a guide for where I would like to cut. And then those dots, even though I marked them on the inside of the frame, then I'll know to cut about 1/4 of an inch outside those dots all the way around. I can always trim it down, but there is no way I am going to ruin another embossed. There's no way I'm going to do this a third time. So that looks fine. And now I can look and see that looks really good. See, I'm happy about that. Now I'm just going to erase those little pencil dots. And while I was thinking about it, I thought to myself, you know what I should do? I should ink the edges actually of that Joy to the World square with something around the edges. Even though we're going to glue that frame on there, I thought, well, if I just want it to look like it was meant to go that way. So this is just some, I think, tea dye distress ink and just a scrap of cardboard. It's like the back of one of those legal pads or like pads of paper. You know, I always save the cardboard and just use it as a quick something. Then I don't have to clean my mat all the time. And I know you can't really see it. Like, you can't really see it, but just in case some shows through in between those little cuts that I made, I wanted it to have an inked edge. So now what I'm going to do is, instead of mounting the card panel on the card and then working in layers up, what I'm going to do is just leave the card panel off, that brown wood card panel. I'm going to mount mount everything onto the white card at the very, very last bit stage. Up until then, I'm just going to work onto the card panel. I've done so many times where I'm making something and I adhere it to the card too soon, and then I think to myself, oh, I want to add a ribbon, or I want to add brads, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, and it's too late. I've already glued it down to the card base. So I've learned to just wait and work on the panel, and that way, if I have some last minute ideas, I still have the freedom to do them. So I think what's going to suit me best here is I'm going to glue one side at a time. And then I can really use like some wiggle room. There's no reason for me to try to glue all 4 sides at the same time. It doesn't make any difference whether I do it that way or not. So I'll just do one side at a time. Less messy, and then I can be a little bit more precise with the glue. Oh, this is just a Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. It is by Tonic. And I just want to say thanks to my YouTube audience also for using the links that are provided. I do use some of the links I provide are affiliate links. That's a really nice way to help support Sandpaper Road. Like, you don't pay anything extra. Nobody tracks your data. It's nothing like that. It's just, it'd be like when you have, you know, those little container parties or whatever, and the hostess gets a little hostess gift. So you're giving Sandpaper Road a little Sandpaper Road gift when you use those links to buy your stuff. So I appreciate it. Now that looks really good, and I'm thrilled, and I love the fact that I used that shimmer spray ahead of time. Look at that shimmer. I love it. Now before I get too crazy decorating, I'm going to put the double-sided tape on the back, but I'm not going to take the release paper off. I'm just going to leave it there because my cards, it might get a little chunky up front, and then it's going to be hard to add the stuff on the back. So now I have these fussy cut embellishments, and yes, I did fussy cut them all long time ago. It's a part of the paper collection called This Miracle Night. It's absolutely beautiful paper, and it is available over at the Sandpaper Road shop. It's by Craft O'Clock. It's just fabulous. So I'm going to go through the little extras here. I've got some, and find just a few little pieces that I can use to accent this card. Pretty sure I have a little bow and a bell. Yeah, there's the bell. And just a few little Christmassy things. Now, if you are interested in this paper, or also the brown mood paper that you see me using, and also that red, if you do mini albums, that red cover that you see on the thumbnail, and also like, in the thumbnail where I'm displaying the picture of the card, those are all available at the Sandpaper Road shop. And I'm going to give you a coupon code. If you use the coupon code SRYT15, stands for Sandpaper Road YouTube 15. If you use it in the Sandpaper Road shop, you can get 15% off your order. So you've got 2 coupon codes, lots of savings. I don't offer stamps and stamp sets and stuff like that in my shop. I let those people do that, but I do get this paper in from Poland, and there aren't too many places in this United States that sell it. I think there's one across the country from me, and that might be it. So definitely check out the collections. They are unique and absolutely beautiful. I love them. I did find a bell. I'm trying to experiment. There are these little acorn things that I really like, but I didn't like them on this card. Then there's these like reindeer and wreaths and stuff, and I thought, oh, it kind of already looks like it's pretty good as it is. I just wanted a few things, like just a few. The bell for sure. I wanted a bow for sure, maybe a little button. I like those little Christmas cookies. That looks good. And I'm also trying to create a little bit of balance so that your natural eye kind of flows back and forth across the card from right to left and back to the right again. That's why I add those certain embellishments. And generally your natural eye when you're looking at a card is going to kind of go to the upper right corner, that upper right quadrant of the card. So then what you want to do is put something a little bit subtle but noticeable to the left, a little lower, and then back down. So your eye wants to make like a little triangle across the card from the right to the left and back to the right. I can feel myself starting to get a little excited with the embellishments and the paper, and I also think I forgot the camera was on at this point. So I thought, well, I think I better just get started doing what I'm going to do here. And I use hot glue for these last embellishments. And yes, I do. And the reason why is because it sticks immediately and it gives just a little bit of dimension, just a tad. You don't have to use hot glue. You could use like what do they call them? Like a dimensional, like a little foam dot or something like that. I just use a hot glue. So. Now, I don't use it as often on scrapbook pages, but I do use the glue gun a lot on cards and mini albums and things like that. Also, like, look, I want to show you. See how I just yanked that little star cookie up? The glue gets hot, but it doesn't get like super, super, super hot. You know, and I can just, while it's still pliable, like I can roll it off with my finger if I completely screw up. So I just didn't like it there. I had it a little bit too low, and that looks a little bit better. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Then while it's still drying, the glue is still soft, I can go in with that stylus and kind of just clean up if there's some extra glue that sticks out. And I like that it's clear underneath there. Sometimes foam is sort of some funny colors. But I also have used scrap cardboard before. I tend to do that a lot, actually. That bow is just so perfect. I love it so much. I think it's the last small one that I had, though. There are bigger ones in the collection. I think I've used them already. Yeah, it's looking really, really good. Those little star sugar cookies look fantastic. It needs one more little brown thing to balance out with that bell. So I put that little button, and that looks really good. I like it. So definitely don't forget to check out techniquejunkies.com, and you can add your coupon code in there. I'll have the coupon codes down below too, and sandpaperroad.com, and click on shop and you'll see that too. Here's the finished card, and I'm rubbing that. I'll add the sentiment a little bit later on. You saw it at the beginning. So thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Sandpaper Road. You can find me on all social media venues, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.